Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing some homeschool planning. I'm going to share with you how I've planned out my year for the 2025-2026 school year. I'm also going to share what I'm most excited about for the year and show you some of the new resources I will be using. This year, I'm homeschooling a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, so I officially have a preschooler and a kindergartner. If you're new here, my name is Kristen, and I share a ton of homemaking videos here on my channel, and I would love it if you hit the subscribe button. If you're returning, welcome back, and let's jump into today's video. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start with today is I'm going to write out my year at a glance. I recently shared kind of an overview of what I wanted to do for the year in a recent Plan With Me video here on my channel. I also shared how I plan out my month. I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm a homeschool mom, and so I will link that video down below if you're interested in that. So today I'm using that overview of the year to really dive deeper into all of my goals that I have for this year and elaborate on that a little bit more. So the first thing I'm going to do, like I said, is write out my year at a glance. And I think this is a great first step to planning out the homeschool year. If you don't know where to start, it's as simple as figuring out when you want to homeschool, for how long, and this will vary depending on the ages of your children and maybe the activities or sports or things they have going on. And so you can choose to homeschool all year round and just take small breaks when needed. Option 2, you can homeschool like traditional school, and that way your kids have like a longer summer break. If they have a lot of friends, or if you have a lot of family, or if you've got a lot going on in the summer months, you can take that longer break in the summer and kind of go the traditional way. Or you can go a more custom route and customize your own schedule. And initially my plan was to just homeschool all year round, and I thought that would be perfect for our lifestyle, and I would just take little breaks here and there. But this past year was really my first year homeschooling, and so I'll share with you now what I decided works best for us and what my plans are for the year. All right, so once you figure out how you want to homeschool for the year, you can then write out your year at a glance. So I just wrote out mine for 2025-2026. I will be doing pre-K with my son, and my daughter will be officially in kindergarten. She will be doing a lot of level 1 or first grade curriculum and things like that, but technically she is in kindergarten. She is 5, my son is 3. And so the way that I'm going to do it is break it up into 2 semesters and then have 2 gap months. So the first semester we started about mid-July just to kind of get back in the hang of things. Really, I would say beginning of August. We did a lot of review. We're still doing review before we're going to jump into all of those new things. But I like to do a lot of review to make sure everything is really sinking in. That's part of homeschooling, a personalized education. But anyway, we'll go mid-July through Thanksgiving, and then we'll take off the whole month of December. But we won't be just doing nothing. We'll do the whole month will be kind of like a winter break, and the whole month of December will be doing a unit study on Christmas. So basically the whole month of December will be like Christmas school, Christmas field trips, Christmas books and read alouds, holiday inspired crafts, projects, baking, decorating, all of the Christmas things. And we'll just do one big unit study. My kids are 3 and 5. They're going to love it. I'm going to love it. It'll give us a nice break from doing like curriculum and things like that every day. So that's semester 1, and then the first gap month, and then we'll start back up January 1st. That's when everybody's ready to get back in the groove of things. So we'll start January 1st, and then we'll go to whenever, we're pretty much done with curriculums and things. Even if we're done in May, we'll just run it through to mid-June, and then we'll take the gap month from mid-June through July. That's just kind of how it naturally happened this year. All other kids are off of school, and it feels like summer break. And so why not take a little summer break before starting all the new curriculums and things for the next year? So gap month 2 will be mid-June through mid-July. That'll be our summer break. And that's when we'll just finish up the year, do review. I wrote testing in quotation marks because I'm not like giving my kids official tests or anything like that. I will do read alouds and then have, the fun summer reading list. So this is what makes sense for my brain, for my family. I was able to kind of see this past year homeschooling how I wanted to homeschool. And I originally told my husband, I just want to homeschool all year round, take little breaks when we need to take breaks. And this was kind of how it naturally happened. Once it was the month of December, we were all decorated for Christmas and we were just baking all the time and watching holiday movies. I was like so not in the mood for like sitting down and cramming curriculum. So I want to do Christmas school this year. And then again, like I said, once it was summertime and all the other kids were playing at the park and everything, it just kind of felt like, yeah, let's just do a summer break. So this is how we're going to do our year this year for 2025, 2026. And I'm just going to pop it in this folder here. I didn't get like a new fancy binder or planner for homeschool planning this year. This folder was like, I think $3 at Target. And then I had a couple inserts here. We have our year at a glance. The next thing I'm sharing in today's video is going to be the unit studies that I've chosen for my children based off of their interests. And basically how I'm writing it out is to kind of coincide with field trips. My children are very young, and my daughter being 5, she will be doing curriculum for language arts and math. But for the other subjects, basically science and history, we're just going to basically learn through unit study. I do love books and curriculums, and it took everything in me not to buy a history curriculum and a science curriculum for my 3 and 5-year-olds, but I know they're too young for that, and we have plenty of time for that. So I'll show you the 2 fun kind of textbook type books that I got for them later in today's video. But anyway, unit study is how we are going to learn all of those fun, exciting things for their age groups and what they'll be interested in. So I'm writing 2 sheets of paper and then just drawing a line down the middle of each. And I will go through and list the unit studies in order based off of what months and what time of year I want to do each unit study to coincide with what field trip I want to do for each study. Okay guys, so the next thing I did was kind of like the fun stuff, and that's write out the unit studies that we're going to be doing this year, and then making a list. These are going to go side by side in this little folder here. Field trips that are going to coincide with the unit studies. And then I just wrote what months we'll be doing each unit study throughout the year. Left this whole space here for like planning, ideas, project ideas, books that I might want to order, or things that I might want to purchase for each unit study. This is for the whole year, so of course I'm going to want to write in things and figure out things as I go. We are working on the human body right now. Actually, I'll show you one of the things we have so far. Okay, so we're doing the human body unit study right now. So this was just like a little poster board that I made. Easy peasy, just made this with paper, markers, and little popsicle sticks here to do the 5 senses. And then I had a book. So I just pulled out some of the things for the human body. So they're loving doing stuff like this. They're 3 and 5. This is the perfect thing for them. You don't have to go and purchase a ton of supplies. It's just the basics. We're not going to go into too much detail for 3 and 5. This is like a pre-K kindergarten board here. And then we talk about foods that are healthy. What are proteins, what are carbs, what are fats, and things that we should eat all the time, things that we should eat just sometimes, and they're understanding. They already know all their organs. They understand the different systems in the body. And then some of the other things we'll be doing are, little fun projects, the stethoscope, listening to their heartbeat, teaching them about hygiene, building their immune system, healthy lifestyle. They already know their senses. They're working on that. They've got the poster. Oh, a sticker game. You do like the unhealthy foods and the healthy food and have them put the stickers on. Another thing too is teaching them about their bodies, teaching them the actual body parts to their bodies, teaching them, about boundaries and how people cannot touch their bodies, all the things. So that is the unit study that we are working on right now. And we will not be doing a field trip for that. I'm sure when they get older, we could find a fun, field trip to do for that. But anyway, so I just kind of lined up field trips. We've got a lot of marine life here and things to do with nature preserves, botanical gardens everywhere. Florida is amazing for Florida nature. So we'll do that for the month of September and October. And obviously I can write in more things and, we'll go along as the year goes. But same thing with Thanksgiving, Christmas. I'm not sure yet what we'll do for field trips, so I'm leaving this open so I can write things in. And so basically this is like a good framework to have for what we will be doing for unit studies and field trips. So anyway, I'm going to pop these into the folder again, side by side, so I can throughout the year add to the list of planning, to plan out ideas, activities, books, projects, field trips, and all of that stuff. So much fun stuff to come. The next thing I'm going to do is quickly write out my plan for my daily schedule. It's what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks, and so far it's been working. So I feel like I can really write it out now and that this is going to work for our family. I feel like at this age group, homeschooling is going to be like a lot of trial and error. Some of my biggest struggles with schedule so far has been managing both children at the same time, getting enough individual time with each one without the other one interrupting, especially now that we're like done with naps. Before, when my youngest was napping, that was like my one-on-one time with my older child. But I've been finding that having 3 different little time blocks is helping everyone to kind of not feel overwhelmed. So I have like the morning basket time, which is for both kids. And then we have like session 1, which is with both kids. And then session 2 in the afternoon is mostly just like a one-on-one with my daughter. If I can get my son preoccupied with something else. So, it's a little challenging, but it's working so far. And then at nighttime, we'll do like a read aloud. And then I'm going to write out a list of subjects, resources, and curriculums, and a chapter book list for the year. Like I said, I wanted to start back up around mid-July, but we really kind of officially started with this new schedule beginning of August. And so we've been able to ease back into things and allow for plenty of review and fun stuff. I'm waiting for my curriculum to arrive. I have ordered The Good and the Beautiful Level 1 Language Arts and Math, and I was waiting to do this video until I got it, and for some reason I still haven't received it yet. So I'm going to show you everything else that I have so far, and it's been good that we've been doing lots of review, and we can start with that new curriculum hopefully at the beginning of this week. Okay, guys, so this is kind of what our daily schedule is looking like right now, subject to change. So we do a morning basket in the morning, and I do it with both kids. I'll show you this whole basket here in a minute. We do prayer, we do God's top 10, and then I let them do some sort of like activity that they can do something with their hands while I'm reading. I'll read from their little Bible, and then I'll read from our read aloud. We'll listen to music after that. This is during breakfast. So they're eating and then they're doing an activity while they're listening, and we're just engaging at the dining room table. And then we'll come in the homeschool room and do the calendar. And then we'll get ready for the day after. Later on in the day, around 10, depending on the weather, it's been really hot here. So usually this time we'll switch once we move into our more normal season, where we'll probably be outside at this time. But lately we've been doing this at 10 o'clock. And I'll do language arts. We'll work on that unit study, maybe do a craft, story time, read from our little science books that we have, our history. And this is for both kids. So I'll be working with my daughter with maybe sight words that she's still working on, or she'll be writing or doing some sort of language arts, while my son, I'll be working on letter sounds with him at the same time and going back and forth. And then later on in the day, later in the afternoon, and then I'll work one-on-one with my daughter with her language arts curriculum, math, and more writing practice. And then later on in the night is when we'll do more of our read aloud. So I've showed this planner here on my channel plenty of times. It's just plain old teacher planner that I got from Amazon. I believe it was $9.99. And you just can basically write your subjects along the side here, write your dates, and then you just go across Monday through Friday. And I like to write down any goals or any to-do list things or planning or things I need to buy or whatever on this side over here. And I just wrote this out as like a basic guideline. Once we get our curriculum here, it should be here soon, we'll add that into language arts and then reading and math. All right, guys, if you already watched my other plan with me, I made a plan with me for August video where I went over, this was like my overview for the year, which I'm kind of just rewriting everything, getting everything planned out. But if you already saw this, you will probably already know these were the subjects that we were going to do: language arts, math, science, history, and those unit studies. And then for resources and curriculum, I'm waiting for the Good and the Beautiful curriculum. My daughter's going to be doing the level 1 math and the level 1 language arts. New workbooks that I got this year, I got this, these are from Lakeshore Learning, and I got the kindergarten STEM book, phonics and spelling, K. So this is going to be a lot of review for her before we jump into that level 1. This book still has a few things in there. This was just a regular phonics kindergarten book. So she's just doing a couple more, review stuff, long vowel, short vowel sounds, stuff like that. And then this is like a math 1 workbook that we haven't started yet, but we'll probably do this alongside the Good and the Beautiful level 1 curriculum. And then I've shared this on my channel as well. I got this for the new year: A Child's Introduction to the World, Geography, Cultures, and People from the Grand Canyon to the Great Wall of China. So this is just a fun way to introduce the kids into the world, into history. And we've been reading this. It's really fun, and I read it to both of the kids, and they ask a lot of questions. So this is basically what we're doing for history, obviously alongside the unit studies. The unit studies are basically like, science and history, but we're not doing a history curriculum. My kids are 3 and 5. We will wait for that. And then this book has been so great. This had really good reviews, and my kids love Berenstain Bears, and I thought, oh, that might be like a cute little science book to read to them this year. But it is like a full-on textbook. There's so much information in here, although it's through like the Berenstain Bears and it's cartoons. There is so much good stuff in this book. I think it was $9.99 from Amazon. But it's basically like a little fun science and nature textbook for small children. So my kids love this as well. They ask a million questions. They want to read it over and over again. They're learning things. So if you have really little ones, this is so great. I love this. So this is basically our science curriculum. All right, guys, so some of the books we will be reading this year, we have started with the National Park Mystery Series, and this book is usually in my morning basket for read aloud, and then I pull it out at night, so I will go ahead and add that into the morning basket, and I'll show that to you in just a second here. And then over here, we are going to reread all of these books. We have read all of them, I think, except 1 or 2. But they're The Secret of the Hidden Scrolls, and they're almost like Magic Treehouse books, but they're like, they go back to the, places in time of the Bible, and both of my kids love to listen to these. So I'm going to reread these throughout the year just because they loved them so much. And then I did get my daughter the Babysitter's Club books because those were my favorites when I was a kid. And so I will be reading these probably just to my daughter. But if my son wants to listen, he can too. So Babysitter's Club books, The Secret of the Hidden Scroll. We're going to be reading The Swiss Family Robinson. And you would be surprised, even my 3-year-old can sit through chapter books. He might need to be fidgeting or playing with something else at the same time, but it's doable. So we'll be reading that as a family. There's something sticky on this one. And then Treasure Island. I know these two are just classics that I think are good for children to sit and listen to, even if they're playing with something else. I just want to be reading them. Books like these. I want to read these books. I never read these as a kid, so I've started both of these. My son wasn't very interested, and then I just fell off of them, so it's a good time to restart, books that maybe you started and didn't continue on with. Charlotte's Web, we'll be reading that, and then The Secret Garden as well. So, obviously we have a lot of other books and story times and things like that too. But these are a lot of the chapter books that I want to make sure we are reading or rereading this year.
She wrote you a letter, so you wouldn't forget.
Okay, so very quickly, this is the morning basket area. I just have it in a cabinet in my kitchen where I can pull things out in the morning when we're doing breakfast. So I have God's Top 10. I have a children's Bible in here that I'm reading to them. And then I also have my Bible and my Bible studies in here that I can pull out during breakfast time with the kids. And then I have The Story of the World, which I read last year, bits and pieces. I didn't read it all the way through, so I want to continue to read that here and there. And then I'm going to put that read aloud in here, the National Park Mystery Series. And then I have an activity basket. I wanted to just have activities that they can do while I'm reading. So there's a lot of puzzles. I'm working on teaching my daughter knitting. And I have a little box in here. It's a little from Lake George, New York. Oh, I love the Adirondacks. I miss New York. But I just put some little cute rocks in here. One says gratitude. One says smile. One says peace. So I've been working on that with the kids, like asking them what they're grateful for and something that gives them peace. Something that makes them smile, little things like that. And we have the lacing animals. This has been really good for my son, learning, working on those motor skills. And then up top, there's a couple other activities. There's the magnet face game that my kids love and Legos, just stuff like that to have while I'm reading. My son loves to do search and find as well, so I have a couple of those always around the house. And so, yeah, this is what we do in the morning time during breakfast and is a part of our little homeschool. So one of the resources that I purchased for this year that I wanted to share with you is from Lakeshore Learning, my favorite place in the world. It's a magnetic teaching calendar, and it's such a good quality. Everything that Lakeshore Learning makes is made to last. It's durable because it's made for the classroom. If you guys watch my channel, you know that half of my homeschool room is from Lakeshore Learning. So anyway, I'm going to quickly hang up the calendar in the corner of my homeschool room. I'm going to take down my whiteboard and then turn it horizontally. And you guys can watch how women hang things. We don't get a tape measure or anything like that. We just play a little guessing game. I get out my leopard hammer and just put some nails in the wall and hope for the best. But this was the perfect spot in the homeschool room. And what I love about this calendar specifically is that on one side, you still have all of your months of the year displayed. And so while you are displaying whatever month it is above the calendar, you can still teach the months and go through them with the kids. And same with the days of the week on the other side. The other calendar that I had, you would display whatever month it was above the calendar, and then you would put the months away like in a pocket. I love that while teaching the calendar, you can still go through each side of the months and the days of the week. So I'm just really impressed with this calendar. I love it. This is not an ad. It sounds like one because I love Lakeshore Learning so much. But anyway, they have this calendar on sale, I believe through the first week of September. It's retail $70, and I was not going to pay $70 for it, although it is worth it. It is really great quality. But they had it on sale for $39.99. And when you are a member at Lakeshore Learning, you get so many points and rewards. So when I went to purchase it, I had $25 in Lakeshore bucks. And so I think I got this calendar for like $24. So I was so happy about that. It's perfect for My kids' age group right now at 3 and 5, they are learning it very quickly already with this style of calendar. Just honestly, really great quality and a really great product. So check out Lakeshore Learning online to see if they still have this sale running. This really complements the homeschool room. All right, guys, so the next thing I did was write out my why. Why are we homeschooling? And sometimes you know in your head why you're homeschooling, but you really should write it down and keep it with your homeschool things in case you get caught on a bad day and you're like, why am I doing this again? And you can kind of reread your mission. So why are we homeschooling our children? The first thing I wrote down is to give our children a personalized education that not only meets but exceeds a standard education. Something that I was listening to recently really helped shape my thoughts on this. Katie and Elijah over on Now That We're a Family podcast, I was listening to something they were doing, and they were kind of talking about a lot of homeschoolers are throwing out a lot of standard education, and I've been one of those people too. It's like, well, I never used algebra another day in my life. We don't need algebra unless it's going to be your job, something that you need for your job. Why do we teach this and why do we teach that? It's all unnecessary. But they really had a good point in saying that, yes, maybe you'll never use algebra again, but sitting down and doing the math problems and having to problem solve and sit there and get through it and think and get to the other side of it has a lot of value. And I thought about that in a different way because I was like, okay, that's true. When you really have to sit there and solve the problem and figure it out, that's creating a lot of other skills that maybe homeschoolers were kind of throwing out the window because we're like, we're never going to use that again, but we are using those problem solving skills with everything else in life. So I don't want to throw out a standard education. I want a personalized education that still meets the standard education, but also exceeds it. So that's what I wrote first. And then the next thing is I want to create a love for learning and a passion for reading in my children. Nothing makes me more sad when somebody tells me my child doesn't like to read, they refuse to read, I have to try to force them. It really breaks my heart because as a kid, I loved to read. My sisters loved to read. Our favorite thing was when we got to go to the library and pick out new books. And I spent a lot of my childhood reading and learning that way. So that is huge and something I really, really, really am going to focus on with my kids. Next is to encourage faith in God, teach them biblical truths and spiritual practices. This is all stuff that you can do whether your kids are in school, traditional school or homeschool, but you just have a lot more time and a lot more time with your kids to be the example and to teach them things when they're home most of the time. And then next, to strengthen our family unit, obviously, like again, being home more, being together more is going to strengthen our family unit. And next, to have the authority, my husband and I, to choose what they are taught and by whom. So when you homeschool, you don't want to just live in a box and your kids never do anything. You still want to have them in activities and sports and classes and all kinds of things, but you have that authority to really select who their mentors are in their life and who their coaches are and teachers are. And that's very important. Next, to focus on values and moral character, to develop work ethic, organizational skills, critical thinking, to create the immense amount of time that is given in a homeschool setting to focus on those things that I was just talking about, and also, skill sets, mindsets, lifestyle choices. Our kids are going to have so much more time to do sports that they're interested in, or any of their interests that we will find out the older they get what those interests are. Teaching them to cook. I mean, basics of life that you just don't have time for if you're running around to school all day and practice at night and coming home and have homework. Like, we just want to focus on all of the things that, maybe we didn't have time for when we were kids. So yeah, cooking, teach them about being an entrepreneur and what that means, finance, all the things I never learned as a kid, health and wellness, healthy lifestyle choices, teaching them different hands-on trades, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That list can go on and on and on. All of the things that you will have time for when you're not spending your whole childhood in traditional public school. And teach our children healthy lifestyle choices, kind of like I just said. Have unrushed mornings to prioritize sleep and well-being. One of the things that I've loved about not having to put my children in daycare or preschool or school is they just sleep until they're ready to wake up. They sleep really well. There's no waking up in the morning, hurry up, we have to go, we have to leave the house. I think that's something that we don't really think about enough, is just how much sleep children need and how they, if possible, shouldn't be woken up in the morning. I don't know. That to me is just, I think children need their sleep. But anyway, this is just a small list. I'm sure I could think of a million more things, but this is, what I wrote down as to why we're homeschooling our children. So, like I said, we have the teacher planner that I use every single day during the week. And this has a ton of undated pages to last the year. Okay, so now I have everything in here. First, I just kept this folder in here where I'm just going to keep a list here. Anything that I need to buy or things that I'm thinking about purchasing or ideas that I have, I'll just probably keep in this folder. And then I have the original outline for the year here that I can just keep in here. All right, so we have our year at a glance. We have a plan for the year. We know when we're schooling. We know what we're doing. It feels just good to have that written out like that. On the next page here, we've got our daily schedule written out. Like I said, this is definitely subject to change. Right now, it's working perfectly, so we'll see how that goes. Sports and activities that my daughter is in. So far, she's in soccer, Girl Scouts, and she'll probably do baseball again in the spring season. Subjects, resources and curriculum, chapter book list, we went over that. And then this is my favorite page. This is where I will continue to, do research for field trips, planning, figure out books that I need to buy or things for each unit study. So I'll be, doing a lot of research and planning and fun stuff for all of our fun unit studies for the year. And then on the last page, my why. If I'm having a bad day and I'm trying to think, why am I homeschooling again? You can always reference this. And then just keeping this folder in the back. This can be for things that I will get for unit studies or things I'll purchase or little things, ideas. So just have this extra folder here for that. So it's only a couple pages, but it just gives me kind of like a good outline for the year. And then I have my planner. Perfect. I was going to get like a big binder and I'm happy that I didn't. All I need is just a few pages to quickly glance at, quickly add into, and I feel good about it. So thank you so much for watching today's video. Thank you so much for planning with me today. And if you guys are interested in an updated homeschool room tour, leave me a comment down below and let me know. And thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
I see the light shining on the stage. This is what I imagine every day.